hey guys, it's great to be here even virtually. Thanks Chris for asking me to come down and speak. It's awesome to see some of you guys taking chips. It's just a fucking miracle when anyone actually walks into one of those rooms and just manages to put together that earlier sobriety. I know for me personally, like a lot of us, that was just the most uncomfortable, strange, bizarre, difficult fucking thing that I've ever done in my life. And it was just the hardest fucking head game ever. And it's, I just recently hit 3 years of sobriety, and this is really my first go around doing this. And I appreciate the timing of Chris asking me to share, just because I've just found myself in the last couple of months just getting coasting a little bit more in this program. I typically, up until fairly recently, I did about 6 meetings a week, and I have about 3 commitments, and one of them, if not 2 of them, would be a more serious commitment, like being a secretary or something. I had a few sponsees at different points. We never got past the 4th step, but I've found myself getting busy the last few months, and I don't know, it's just good to have somewhere to be on the spot and show up and do something a little more serious like this. It kind of threw me, and it's funny too, because I got 2 buddies who I came in with around the same time. They both celebrated around 3 years. I got to know both of them really well, and they both went out like within the same week. One guy, we used to talk like 5 times a week, I'd say, for the first 2 years, and it kind of dropped off a little bit more this last year. But that just felt like the rug getting yanked out from underneath me, him going out. And he's someone who's been homeless in the past, and it's just, I know his stakes are just really fucking dangerous, man. And he's not back yet. I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm trying to remain someone who we can talk to, who's not like judging him or something, just so there's a bit of just that thing that AA is, where we're just trying to not promote or throw this in people's faces, to just be an example and attraction, not promotion. But it's been tricky for me. This other fella, I super surprised, because I thought he worked a great program. He just seemed to have his shit together so well. And luckily he came back in the program, but it took him 1 week to end up in the hospital. And man, that's how this disease is. It's weird, just like, how coming in is just the hardest, strangest fucking thing to do. Now it's that, like, for me, it's getting into that opposite head game, where it's this long game, where it's like things seem to be all right, so it's easy to start to get lulled a little bit. And I think it's good here to light a fire under my ass. It's not like I've been drifting way far away from the program, but I've just found, especially these Zoom meetings, I've noticed it in other people, like they're just getting to be a little Zoom fatigue. Meetings where people used to raise their hand more. Now it's like someone's got a call on everybody. There's just we're getting a little dead. It's cool to see you guys meeting. I am, I'm like 1 week away from having that like healthy 2-week phase after the shots, and I'm taking it fairly seriously just because I had a really bad immune system. It's gotten better recently, but the main reason was because I was a broke as fuck alcoholic stoner who was living in a shitty part of town for 6 years, illegally squatting like down in Vernon. If anyone knows where that is, props, because no one knows where the fuck Vernon is. It's south of downtown LA, where all these factories are, where the fucking sausage is made by Farmer John's. I lived in a camper next to a scrap metal yard for a year and showered at the gym. I Until recently, like now I'm in a regular apartment, finally, that's a recent thing. That's just the last 6 months. Before that, I was in a warehouse that was not zoned for, people to live. And I was also just like an old shitty warehouse, and I just started getting sick all the time. It was just clearly the air quality was garbage, and the materials in that building were shit. And yeah, it's just that stuff, man. These are the things we do. We beat up our bodies. The thing that dragged me in here, though, was it was really the financial thing. To be a dude and be broke feels like you might as well tell the world you're a fucking eunuch or something. And that's where I was just at a point where I was drowning in shame as a man. And then when I came to certain moments where I thought, well, I'd just rather kill myself. I was about to get kicked out of that place, yet to be kicked out from another friend who hooked me up with something. And I was looking at toppers, put on my pickup truck so I could live out of the back of my pickup truck. And because I was just totally out of money, and once again, I was not going to have rent money. And then I had the bright idea I could check online and see if I can extend my credit card limits on all of my 9 credit cards. And one of them actually took it, and it was enough to just barely cover rent. And instead of, using that money to pay rent, I realized it wasn't quite midnight yet. So I raced down to the pot shop that was open in my neighborhood and bought $200 worth of weed. That's just our bullshit. Yeah, so getting sober now, it's just, it's like, man, I paid my fucking taxes ahead of time this year. I'm actually looking at, where to put money past my checking account. I've actually managed to have good employment during COVID. It's just this shit that's just crazy that I forget about how big of a gift it is to have regular clean running water and shit. But yeah, thinking about the program, one thing I started doing again recently that I've done in the past was I got a therapist, because this winter I was just going to a pretty dark place. And so I was like, maybe I'll get a therapist too. And that's proven to be useful. But it's interesting how I feel like AA and therapy are two opposite things. I know they can help with the same shit, but I feel like therapy is, you go in there, it's like you can endlessly gaze into your navel, and you're not asking. I feel like most of the time it wasn't what did I do wrong, it's kind of like, oh, what caused me to behave this way? Let's dig into your past, unlock some things. How were you treated by your dad, by your mom, by your older sister, by all this stuff, and that can be, and I think that stuff is useful. But man, I went, when I was a stoner and a drunk, I went to shrinks at different times, and it never changed these fundamental behaviors. And I think part of it is that, it's like AA, the whole thing is do work and be like, where was I fucking selfish? And where was I having these ideas of what I fucking wanted, and it's just accepting some shit. And I get so fucking bent out of shape about that. It really took me getting my ass handed to me and having my ego just get smashed to, change the way I was living. And it's been the most important thing in my life. I am, looking at this, it's the 4th month of the year, and so I'm thinking about the 4th step and how the first time I did it, like a lot of people, it took me a while, but I got just really fucking obsessive about it. It probably took 6 months to do it, but I wrote out 300 resentments. And I remember, so I was thorough as fuck, man. And when I sat down with my sponsor, it was a little bit well, you didn't have to do this. This has a list, man. But all right, we'll read all this. He was calling out my character defects as I was reading it to him, and then getting me able to start spotting them. And what became clear is 75% of the time, the resentment was over one thing. It was just boiled down to like, you think you're better than me. That was it. It wasn't even me really knowing if that other person thought they were better than me, but that's what I thought. And that shit, you know, looking at how, oh, what is it hitting? Is it hitting my financial security? Is it hitting my social security? Is it hitting my sense of, you know, sexual relations? And then, of course, is anyone who's done it knows, the next thing we're looking at is what's my part in this? Where was I selfish? And that's the thing that all the therapy or talking to your buddies and airing shit out and having your buddies just like agree with you that your girlfriend's being a bitch or your boss is being a fucking asshole or your industry sucks or the way this whole country works is crap. It's this program that caused me to be like, you know, where are you being selfish? And that's the main thing, and that's just been so important for me to try to do that. And, you know, continuing to do that stuff now through the 10th step is, it's a struggle, man. Sometimes I'm better at looking at that shit, but it's like, it's on average, like the last 2 months, you know, program-wise, I felt a little disconnected. I think part of that's because I felt better in many ways, like previous 6 months, I don't know why, man, but I was just like really antsy. Well, I guess it's obvious there's fucking COVID and weird shit going on, but it's like I finally started feeling more relaxed. But still, like about every other week, some issue would come up that would get me obsessing over this thing intensely for like 3 days, and then we'd kind of have this long tail for a week. And it was this resentment. You know, one week it was my boss hired their cousin to work under me on a job. And the first time I met this guy, which was all virtual, he just looked like this kid with an attitude. That was my first thought within like 2 seconds of looking at this guy. He's kind of this handsome, fit dude with this trendy haircut. And I thought, I don't like this guy, but I was trying to, you know, control myself and be like, hey, man, you're just putting that on there. Let's get into the work. Got into the work, and when I tried to explain what he needed to do for his work, he kept interrupting me a lot, and that was kind of irritating me. And it started to become clear after about a day and a half, he was extremely incompetent. And it got to the point where he got fired. And it was very awkward for me for about 3 or 4 days to try to preserve this relationship with this producer, this boss I've worked with as a freelancer for 3 years. I don't want to fuck that up. It's been an important revenue stream for me. Oh, shit. Okay. I got 2 minutes here. The thing was, you know, this kid wound up getting fired, which he should have. And then he sent me a text afterwards, you know, bitching at me. And that got me revved up. It was a Friday night at a friend's birthday party, and there I am trying to be present for this. And I was just starting to lose my mind. You know, I wanted to call this guy and just tell him he's the most incompetent piece of shit that I've ever dealt with, and it was a waste of time to the project. He embarrassed his cousin who stuck their neck out to hire this guy, and just, and instead in this program, you know, I started to, from talking to other people working the phones, who are not just buddies to just co-sign, yeah, that kid's an asshole. It's, where's your part in this? And I started to see, yeah, a big part of my thing was like, do you know who I am? That's a thing that I wanted to get into. Like, who are you to be talking to me this way? And it's setting that shit off. There's a lot of character defects there, but it was like, and then getting into the whole thing to pray for this guy, to hope he gets everything he wants, like to hope he has career success, that he finds the woman of his dreams, that he's respected amongst his peers. Man, that shit's hard. But I did not call him and flip out at him. I didn't go and get drunk and do something else stupid. I just didn't pull dumb shit that I would have done in the past and get resentful of my boss who brought this kid on. And I got through this resentment in like a week, and my standing was still good with the employer. Now it's been like 6 weeks, and it's, the job's gone fine. But in the past, I would colossally fuck those things up. I had burned clients that were good dynamics, and I get it in my head, I get pissed off, I get wasted, and I just burn bridges. And now it's like, it's about trying to do better. And a great thing about having friends in this program is they're also trying to help you do better. And it's just a wonderful thing. I think that's probably my time there. So the topic I'm thinking is like fourth step and just in general, this program, how it's work, and not just, it's not therapy and it's not friends, it's co-signing this shit, it's work. That's it. All right, next thing it says is to introduce the treasurer and observe the seventh tradition. So let's do that.
Right on. Thanks, John.